right, webinar attendees, welcome to our WordPress SEO Best Practices webinar. My name is Lexi, and I'm just going to kind of be the eyes and ears behind this webinar. And with all of that being said, we are so excited to have you here, and I'm going to pass it over to John Hessinger from WP Engine that will host this webinar. John, you can take it away.
Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, everyone. I am John Hessinger, VP of Global Acquisition with WP Engine. We are very excited to host this discussion today with this exceptional panel of experts before you. It's awesome to see the global representation here on the call. Thank you for greeting everyone. This is clearly a very popular topic. We're right at about 5,000 registrants for this webinar, which is huge. So first, thank you for taking your time in your day to be with us and spend time on this topic. And we know it's important to you. With that, I think one of the most valuable things a webinar can provide is a balance of thought leadership, but also practical application that everybody can take something back with them and try it on their own. So hopefully we'll get to discover both of those today. I'll quickly hit the agenda we're planning to cover over the next 55 minutes or so. I'll give a quick intro about WordPress and SEO overall. We'll get into meet the panelists, the experts here with me, and then we'll actually get into the discussion. We'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. Action-packed. There's a lot of topics to cover here. If you don't mind hitting the next slide here really quickly, I think this is the extent of the slide where we have today. But if you're here, you clearly notice that WordPress is in the title. Part of that is, of course, because WP Engine is a WordPress technology company with a wide range of products and solutions that help agencies and brands design, build, power, and manage their experiences, from developer workflows, our best-in-class hosting, and also specialized solutions around e-commerce and headless builds. But also, WordPress out of the box is optimized for SEO, making it simple to maintain and manage things like alt text, metadata, page hierarchy, and so on. But that said, you can also extend WordPress's functionality with things like specialized plugins, right? SEO plugins like all-in-one SEO, which Ben on the panel here represents today, WP Supercache, and a lot of others. And then by choosing the right hosting partner, you can actually ensure improvements to uptime, site speed, and just a highly performant configuration that's specific to WordPress. So WordPress sites inherently have an advantage in search results because the CMS is heavily optimized for it. Okay, with that said, let's get into introductions. Let's meet the team and get into the other meat of the discussion. So what I'd like to do is ask everyone to introduce yourself and your organization. And as an icebreaker, I've asked everyone to provide one actionable sort of go-to SEO recommendation. I'll kick it off here and be brief. As I mentioned, I'm John Hessinger. I lead global acquisition and channel performance here at WP Engine. I've been in some form of marketing, product marketing, mostly in the digital space for ahead of 20 plus years now, in a variety of industries globally. I'm going to stay a little tactical with my recommendation here. But when it comes to SEO, I think one of the most overlooked things is the FAQ schema snippets. Helps people rank for Google's answer boxes. You know, in the search results, you have those people also ask expansion topics and flavors like that in the search results, which currently have a lot of prominence in the SERP positions now. So that's me. Let's get on to the true experts here, the practitioners. Why don't I pass it over to you, Carmen?
Great. Hello. I love being the first one. Well, actually, the second one. So I'm Carmen, head of organic at Hallam. Hallam is an all-around global digital agency. So we do everything from paid to creative and SEO. And within SEO, I look after content, digital PR, social, so everything organic. I have experience both in agency and in-house. And in fact, I have worked quite a lot with WordPress. So I feel very happy to get to give some input in here. I've done international, and I have done quite a lot of e-commerce, which are my favorite parts. And that's why I think the first recommendation that I'm going to do is whenever you start in WordPress, start by checking the template that you're choosing. It seems like when you choose a template, you normally get drawn by how cool they are, how many colors it has, how many fancy things you can see, but you forget page speed. So performance of choosing a template that performs is very important for SEO, obviously. So I would recommend for you to just, before you choose one, go to page speed, check that it's working fine, and then go on and start adding all the plugins, etc. Obviously, that is if you are just starting in WordPress. If not, the first thing I will always do is just checking that everything is working well in Google Search Console, and that your WordPress is set up for all the things that we're going to recommend after. So that would be me.
That's great advice. I think, yeah, I mean, it's so easy to pick the sexiest, most involved template out there. And sometimes that complexity adds a lot of weight, a lot of bloat, and features likely go unused overall, right? So I love that advice. Thanks for that. Yeah, let's continue to go toward the right here, Stefan.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome and thanks for having me today. My name is Stefan Kasula. I'm the SEO Business Development Team Lead at Logical Position. And Logical Position is an end-to-end marketing agency. We started with paid ads, and we have SEO, creative, web development, paid social, Amazon. So there's a lot that we're working with. My role with the company is to focus on onboarding and providing digital marketing strategies for any of our new SEO clients. So anyone that is interested in our SEO product is directed my way, and then we try to find the best strategy for them moving forward. I really like this question. Carmen, I really liked your answer as well, because I think that's something that is definitely overlooked. One of the things that I have found that seems so simple, and I think sometimes people are looking for like the hidden, Easter egg with SEO. But I have found that adding category content or adding content to your services pages can be a really easy win and really easy takeaway for most businesses. And what I mean by that is just looking at, the different services that you offer or different categories of product that you offer, and placing, even if it's 250 words down at the bottom of the page, explaining what the page is about and providing those keywords in there. I've seen it, have a huge impact. And it's interesting to see now, ever since 2020, when I do shopping, like if I go to Adidas or Nike or Dick's Sporting Good, you'll see that all of these companies are now using that same technique in creating that on-site content because of the impact it does have. And that's not to say that there aren't other areas that obviously are going to affect your SEO, but I think that's one overlooked thing that is a very easy or simpler thing for a business to take on.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Glad you're here, Stefan. Let's pass it over to Ben.
All right. Hey, everyone. As John said, I'm Ben Rojas from All-in-One SEO, president, co-founder, and lead developer. And All-in-One SEO is, the original WordPress SEO plugin. So we've been doing this for quite some time. And I wear a lot of different hats here, but probably my favorite one is just experimenting with SEO. I really love getting down into the weeds and figuring out what works and what doesn't, so we can pass it on to our customers. And so that really excites me each and every day. So this is a great question. I love it because, this is kind of the stuff we're looking for. And actually my go-to is about FAQs, but I'll pick another one because you got that one, John. But I think that internal linking is probably the area that I see overlooked, not as like a talking point, because people talk about it all the time, but I see it overlooked as an action point. A lot of people aren't actually doing the work because it's difficult, especially as you have lots and lots of content, to be able to link all of your content together. And so, this is an area that I often see, and we recommend to our customers, you got to keep doing that internal linking. We actually have a tool called Link Assistant that will help you with this. Gives you suggestions, and it also helps point out orphan pages. Like these pages have no links out or links in, and so you can find those and link those together. So and that obviously helps improve your rankings as the search engines begin to understand your site better and understand your content better and be able to piece everything together. So that's my go-to.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, we all know that information architecture, the taxonomy that we're using is super important, but as you produce more and more and more, it gets harder to maintain. And so constantly being aware of that is critical. I love that. All right, Anurag, last but not least.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, thank you, John. Hi, everyone. This is Anurag. I'm the founder and CEO of Quarter. And Quarter is the ultimate AI-driven SEO platform for growth in marketing teams and content teams. I think prior to Quarter, I was leading growth and AI teams at Realtor.com, where I helped grow the website to a top 50 website by building a stronger organic channel that grew manyfold. And that, in fact, became the inspiration for building a better SEO platform that Quarter is to help scale your acquisition from Google. To answer John's question about the favorite SEO tip, I think that even though there's a lot of buzz about generative AI, I think the art of prompting is something that we are all still building, and I think I would encourage everybody to kind of really go deeper into stronger prompting skills, and there is a prompt for nearly every SEO task you're taking today. Even things like FAQs that John just mentioned, you can develop really good prompting skills to auto generate some of these FAQ questions, or even the answers, or the internal linking that Ben was just talking about. Good prompt can help you generate a few optimized anchor text to use on there. And if you want to take that to the next level, take a test drive of Quarter, and we've integrated this kind of prompting capabilities in various different workflows that automate 30+ manual SEO tasks for you. So really excited about the future of generative AI and how it can make our lives easier.
I love it.
Thank you.
Great advice there. I think, looking at this group of participants today, everybody on the call is very fortunate to have this level of diversity and expertise on the call. We've got folks representing agency, in-house, as well as, like actual technical product platform. So great to have the variety of perspective today. With that, I think we can probably kill slides and put big faces up on the screen so we can hear what everybody's got to say. All right, let's get into the questions. This is a little bit just staying on top of trends and just kind of industry best practices, these first two topics. The first one is like the world of search engines is always evolving, right? And just using Google as our primary example, rich snippets, algorithm changes, product reviews, and so on, but also just in user experience and digital in general. So how do you guys stay up to date on the latest SEO news and industry trends? Are there specific newsletters that you subscribe to, thought leaders you follow, and so on? Carmen, why don't we start with you?
Yes. So actually, I have to say that the SEO industry, one of the reasons I love it is because everyone is really vocal. So you're always going to find so many people giving information about everything. So having said that, that means that it's very difficult to get through finding the people who actually give good opinion, right? And they are up to date. So I tend to follow different people for different things. So for example, Lily Ray for me is the go-to when I need to learn more about it or anything content related. When I need to follow things about international, I really like Aleida Solis. She's the one expert. She's fantastic. Mike Keane as well, when you need to know more about the technology, etc. So I'm doing quite a lot of shout outs to people to follow in LinkedIn. So I hope they shout back to me. But for example, something that is really, really important always is to follow Google. Google is in the end going to be the one telling you what's going on, right? So joining any new product releases like the I/O that Google did last week, or doing any Google Search Console newsletters, they do quite a lot, and they give quite a lot of information about latest releases. So all of those are super important. And finally, so I let other people talk as well. Keeping on top of all overall marketing is super important, because SEO, we need to remember, is part of marketing. So without knowing where the rest of the channels are going, we basically isolate it. So I really like following Stack Marketer. I don't know actually if it's a very well-known newsletter, but I think it's fantastic. It always gives quite a lot of information about how to put all the channels together, and it kind of opens a new way of looking at things.
I love that. So I think I've seen a couple of comments. Yes, absolutely. You're about to get a bunch of information bomb drops on this call. There will be lots of list of providers and resources. So there will definitely be follow-up. We'll send a recording out so you don't have to write everything down. But yeah, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that you guys can take away from this. You did mention, I do want to, like, Lily Ray is really interesting. She covers EAT quite a bit, or double EAT now. And she's also just really unique, right? She's a DJ and a drummer and all these cool things in Brooklyn. Do you mind covering really quickly for those that aren't aware what EAT is, or the new EEAT?
Yes, oh, I got into the mute. Can't believe I still don't know how to use Zoom. So for people who don't know, it really is a part of the core algorithm of Google that checks that your content is written by experts with experience. That's a new E that is trusted and is authoritative. And it actually plays a very important role with AI now, because it's going to be kind of that dictating when AI is good enough for the users. I think also Google is going to be releasing a new helpful content update, which is going to be linked quite a lot with it. So in the end, is your content good enough for your users? Is it unique, and is it showing your authority? Is the most important part, I think.
Love it. Thanks for that. I think we have a follow-up topic there, request somewhere in the chat too. So maybe not fully today, but after this. I love it. Let's go to Ben for this one.
Hey, yeah, so like Carmen, follow a lot of different thought leaders in the SEO space. Love to just kind of, open up my Twitter account, just scroll through and see what people are saying. What are the new updates that Google's done? But all of it really goes back to Google. A lot of it just like new changes that Google's made. Some of the names that I follow: Barry Schwartz from Search Engine Roundtable. I like to read his newsletter and his site and keep up to date there. Kevin Indig, formerly of Shopify, so he's somebody that I like to watch some of his podcasts and some of his videos that he puts out. Lily Ray obviously is one of those. And kind of going back to core, like, John Mueller always answers people's tweets on Twitter. Like, people ask questions, he answers them. So seeing and following him and seeing a lot of the things that he's saying is a really good place, a good source of information. He even answers questions that are very basic. And so there's a lot of good information from that. And so there's a lot of newsletters that come along with these SEOs. And so I've subscribed to all of those and get those in my inbox. But that's probably my foundation. Twitter's and LinkedIn are kind of the two places that I go and get a lot of info outside of the newsletters.
Awesome. What about you, Stefan?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the names have kind of been mentioned, but I think if I was thinking about, I try to find, without going down rabbit holes or getting, really too technical, I think Moz is one that's sometimes overlooked. They do a whiteboard Friday that, I've recommended to a lot of business owners for beginner level SEO, but they also do cover a wide variety of topics. So you can kind of narrow in what you want to learn or what you want to look into. Search Engine Land, and their journal is great. Barry Schwartz is great as well. There's a lot of different writers within that publication that provide a lot of great insight and updates that can be kind of a little bit more unbiased, which I prefer. And then obviously John Mueller. I mean, Google's great because they're going to provide those updates, but I think the thing about SEO is there are some gray areas and not everything's revealed. So it's great to hear from other experts in the field that are engaging it and trying to figure out what Google's algorithms are.
There's politics, there's news, and there's marketing, SEO, right? It's helpful to have different perspectives. That's controversial.
Absolutely. I mean, Google's not going to reveal everything. Then, and that's what I have found kind of makes SEO fun, is it can be kind of a guessing game, and you are doing some trial and error for sure.
Yep, I love it.
I was about to mention, I'm not sure if you noticed that John Mueller recently has been trolling quite a lot of people, so just watch out as well. He joined LinkedIn and now he's trolling people.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Before I go to you, Anurag, I will say, speaking of trolling people, I highly encourage everybody on this call to follow these people. These are experts in the field and the companies that they work for. So, and who's on your list, Anurag?
I would call out that I think oftentimes it's really hard to explain Google's algorithm and understand. And I think some experts have done amazing research into actual Google patterns and made it really easy for lesser model like us to really follow and understand. And I think Bill Klasky is somebody who's unfortunately no longer with us, but I would just give him a shout out. Tremendous work in the space, and a lot of what he's published is still very, very relevant. So I would definitely start there if you're trying to understand the fundamentals of how Google search works, how the ranking systems work, and all of those. And I think Google itself publishes really good material on keyword.google.com as one of the other blogs from Google, where they've done a tremendous job in making it easy for people to understand how search works. And of course, there's a lot of great advice already we've shared around John Muller's episodes and how he answers everyone's questions kindly. So I think a lot of really good information out there.
You guys, that list. So yeah, I appreciate the shout out to Bill Slosky. Left us too early last year about this time, but again, like you said, a lot of good content there still today. Did a lot of work at I guess, do we still call it reverse engineering? The algorithms and the crawlers and things, but yeah, what is it? It's SEO by the sea, right? And Go Fish. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's a huge list. That's a great list. So again, we'll follow up with a recording, and we'll also document this so that people who don't have time to actually watch through the entire recording, we'll publish the list of lists here afterwards. Okay, let's stay on the topic of change in the industry. We've seen a lot of algorithm changes this year, and two big ones, right? There's the core update and the product reviews update. So I think about it, we've lived in this world for quite a long time, and algorithm fluctuations can be a scary thing, right? They can lead to a lot of anxiety. Sometimes we chase our tails for weeks trying to figure out, are we just hitting turbulence, or is this something in the fuselage that just broke? So I think it would be great to hear, how do you monitor site performance, and what are you looking at, especially as it relates to some of these fluctuations? What do you typically track and report on? I'll start with Stefan this time.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's not really one tool to rule them all. And I think it can be really helpful to look at different tools to be able to monitor site performance. Obviously, Google Search Console and Google Analytics are great. I mean, if you're just looking to, manage your website traffic using analytics, looking at different landing pages, seeing how the traffic is increasing or not increasing, especially when you add new pages, or if you're creating specific types of content where you're targeting keywords or different industries, to be able to track that traffic and see how that URL or that page is performing. Google Search Console is a phenomenal tool as well that I think is overlooked, and I'm surprised how many businesses don't set that up. So I highly recommend that. We typically look at 3 different KPIs, or key performance indicators, and that'll be keyword rankings, which will utilize SEMrush and Moz. SEMrush is my favorite, but Moz is also got some great keyword tracking tools, and there's plenty more out there. But wanting to see, are they trending up? Are they trending down? And not just are you gaining more keyword rankings, but are you gaining first page keyword rankings? I think that there's a lot of agencies out there that will just try to get you to rank for anything, but we want to rank for very relevant terms that are going to convert into sales. Organic traffic, which I mentioned in Google Analytics, looking at those specific URLs that we're targeting and seeing if the traffic is increasing or decreasing. I especially like looking year over year for SEO. I think for a lot of other areas of digital marketing, like PPC, you'll end up looking more month over month. But year over year can be really, really helpful when tracking organic. And then the third KPI would be organic revenue. So how much of your revenue or how many of your conversions are happening from your organic traffic, and also looking at assisted conversions too. And that can be really helpful, by setting up goals in Google Analytics to determine, if your traffic that you're driving to the site is converting, And if it is, then that's probably where you should put more of your efforts as far as creating content and optimization. So those are the three that we look at.
Super helpful. I love that you lead with business outcome as well, right? It's often, rankings are great, traffic is great, but they can also be the leading indicator that's a false positive if the traffic is not, consumer friendly. But
yeah, especially if you're e-commerce and you're selling online, the point is to make money. Yep. At the end of the day. It's so I think, obviously as SEOers, we can't always control that because there is, how is the site going to convert and what's the product that they're selling, but getting them to the site to automate, in the end to purchase is the end goal. So
yeah, love that. Appreciate the focus on KPIs as well. Carmen, how about you?
Actually, I couldn't agree more with this, Stefan. It's funny how there are so many people who have been years in the SEO world. I have never used Google Search Console. For me, the to go to is Google Search Console because yes, it's very good to have third-party tools, and sometimes they do provide enough information, but we need to remember that Google Search Console and Google Analytics provide real data, while third-party tools have very limited portfolio. So sometimes SEMrush, for example, which I also love, won't be able to crawl as many pages as Google. So I always start with Google Search Console, and I actually do it in a different way too, Stefan. So rather than looking only into keywords, which are good, but also the way that Google is going, in my opinion, is going away from single keywords and more into keyword group. So I start with page. I start looking at the performance of the pages over time, during the process, during the algorithm, before the algorithm, and after the algorithm. So I compare, and then when I start looking into the pages that have been affected, I start narrowing down the issues. Then if I see the pages that have been affected, I looked at the queries at this point, and then I start identifying the specific keywords that were hit, and then I look into the SERP and I say, okay, what changed? Was it my content that was no longer good enough? Did we make any changes on the pages that now Google is not crawling anymore? Why? Is it canonicals? So that is how I start narrowing down. When I identify them, then I double check with GA and check revenue. Is it affecting my revenue? So can I prioritize by this page has been affected, but really I was not making any money with it. So why should I prioritize it? Or this one, man, I was making so much money, that is my first one to fix. And then from there, I start just triple checking with other tools. There are so many tools out there. They're really good. I think, again, Ahrefs, SEMrush, the typical, but also very much into new tools. I also include AI because those are the tools that are going to save quite a lot of your time. So yeah, that's normally the process I follow.
That's a helpful kind of walk through the scientific methodology, but I love the fact that you think about too, like your logical groupings, so you can figure out where the hotspots are faster and then drill in from there. I love that. I have a feeling, Anurag, that you're going to have a very similar perspective in terms of groupings. And
yeah, I love Carmen's answer, actually very, very on point. I think a lot of website owners are missing out on the power of Google Search Console and how that can be put to action. Where I think Google Search Console falls short is the user interface, though, because it's really focused on pages and queries, where most websites, even for a single page, may be ranking for thousands of queries. So it starts to very quickly become hard to tackle. So the groupings that Carmen was mentioning are particularly valuable, and that's one thing that Quarter is from the very first day. One of the first features we launched back in 2000 was grouping keywords and content into automated groupings, and that is all AI driven. So you don't have to keep changing them or suspecting them that are they the right groupings. And so once you have that, then you can really arrive at answers where what trends are really important and where the biggest opportunities are. And combining that with rank tracking data, I think what Stefan was earlier mentioning, that there are different tools for everything, and I think that's one was a particular challenge for me in my job at Realtor.com, going to so many different tools. So what we do is, by bringing data from all these tools together in one place, you can now answer questions like, hey, we're seeing a 70% increase in clicks in Search Console for buy men's shoes category. And that's because of 17% higher visibility in Google search based on the rank tracking data we are seeing. And that seems to relate with our improvement in content quality scores. So connecting all of that data in one place can really help us quickly get to answers, but also pinpointing the specific part of the website and things that move together in search versus kind of the entire site, which can become too much to be to analyze at once.
Yeah, that's very helpful, super helpful in bringing it all together. And I think it's a great perspective on the platform that you've built and are building as well, and the value it provides. Speaking of technology, Ben, what's your take?
Yeah, so we use a lot of these same tools, SEMrush, Ahrefs, et cetera, but we absolutely love Google Search Console as well. I feel like all the data is there, and a lot of times it's just hard to find it for users, right? So it's like, how do we understand and use this to grow and to get better? So recently we've actually released an add-on or a update to our All-in-One SEO WordPress plugin that is called Search Statistics, and it connects directly with Google Search Console. It takes that data, it allows you to see individual pages and posts and how they have ranked over the last year. And it'll put right at the top those that are decaying, what we call content decay, right? So it's like the content that used to rank really high and it's going downhill. And we have, an algorithm that we've put together on top of Google Search Console to be able to surface those to the top. We do keyword tracking, we do all sorts of things. But the idea is that you can look at it at a glance and see, what do I need to focus on right now? Like Carmen was saying earlier, like, what are the things that I need to focus on? We try to make that as easy and simple as possible. So that's straight from Google Search Console. That's right from the horse's mouth, right? Like, we're not looking at third-party tools or anything like that. Our data that shows you your impressions and clicks and everything is one-to-one what you would see in Google Search Console. And an update we're about to put out is we're going to start overlaying Google's updates right on that graph to show you where a Google algorithm update came out, and that's why your content went up or your content went down, like the rankings. And so that's what we use. We're using it ourselves, like we're practitioners. So we built this tool for ourselves. We wanted to better understand our own SEO data, and so we built this, and we're releasing that to our customers. And that we love it. It's every day using this tool and using others like it, like to just help us understand. Like Stefan was saying, it's fun, like to go through and just kind of analyze it and figure it out. So yeah,
Sure is. I mean, that's really cool too. I mean, a lot of what we do, a lot of what we measure is time series, right? It's hard to build a control and variant in a lot of the things that we do. So having that sort of overlay, if you will, sort of that proactive invitation of like, hey, this change occurred. What is the subsequent sort of changes that are occurring on the website and performance is huge. So
yeah, and so Google is one piece of it, but also you can make changes to your own content, right, that affect it. And so we're going to do that too. We're going to overlay both of those so that you can understand, like, hey, not only do Google make a change here, but you change something in your content and then you decreased in ranking. So maybe go look at your revisions and see what you need to put back. So,
yep, great point. You can use that as a project management, sort of campaign management tool, if you will, for that too.
Yeah,
love
exactly.
it. Okay, we're this is great on timing right now. I'm actually going to switch gears a little bit. I have a couple other thoughts that I'd love to get from you guys if time allows, but we'll come back to it in terms of other measurement strategies. But hot topic today, as everyone's talking about, and you've mentioned in acronyms several times on this call already, one of the hottest topics is often contentious when it comes to SEO is the role of AI. Right? I'd love to hear from each of you what your thoughts are, a little bit about where the industry is moving to the degree that we know it today and see it, and how AI might influence either search behavior, content generation, or even other use cases that you're seeing as your roles. With that, I know that several of you are very steeped in AI product development right now too. So why don't I kick it off to you, Aniga?
Yeah, thank you, John. I think this is a particularly exciting time in 2023. Like almost every day we are hearing new capabilities being announced around AI. And personally, I see the role of AI as fast evolving into that of a co-pilot for us. And I think co-pilot for almost everything we do today. So whether it is keyword research, or it is writing a content brief, or writing a post draft of an article, or developing technical optimizations, or doing internal linking at scale, or analyzing trends and everything. So I think that with the advent of generative AI, SEO is experiencing its Salesforce moment. Just like earlier, salespeople used to be reliant on a spreadsheet, but then Salesforce completely changed that with a very, very powerful tool. I think when it comes to SEO, we are still a lot into our spreadsheets, and I think that's about to change, because AI is helping scale SEO in new ways, and no longer going to be competitive to be still using spreadsheets. And I think that's what platforms like Quora are set out to change, with leveraging generative AI and advancing how fast teams can scale their SEO efforts, and offering them a true co-pilot for their SEO in every step of the way.
Love it. I love the notion of a co-pilot, right? It's riding side by side. It's not going to take the wheel, but you definitely have it there to navigate, right?
Right.
Love it. Carmen, I'd love to hear your perspective.
Well, I can talk about this topic forever. So AI is actually one of my favorite topics, but I would like to separate it in two different parts. So the first part is obviously AI is here to stay. If you watch the I/O product released by Google, it is here to stay, and in every single platform that they have. For me, I think it's going to make a big change for the traditional way that SEO has been done. And just to even getting away from GA, talking about ChatGPT, the first day that ChatGPT released, or GPT-4 was released, I was able to do a task that before took me 18 hours in 1 hour and a half. So this was backlink analysis, and get all the URLs and group them into industries, and then tell me which ones I needed to focus more. And that will allow me to do a proper creative campaign. So that is going to make lots of hours that were spent before doing kind of very manual tasks into way less time, so less time consuming, which means it's going to leave more time to the thinking. And that goes back to the data analysis using Google Search Console, putting the dots together, which actually is going to change a little bit how the industry focuses. I think I'm talking way in advance, but also I think the way that SEOs work at the moment is going to change. And I'm pro for that. I really like it, to be honest, and it's really exciting. And the other part is the people that are using AI to do, I'm not gonna swear, rubbish work. So copy and pasting, just using all the AI tools to copy and create content, copy and paste it, put it in the website. That is not good. And there are so many people doing it for that, to create outreach emails, to create very bad copy to be put it in social. So I think the key now is going to be for companies to be able to decide what good AI is, where the ethic is in terms of where you apply, and then just be more creative. Finally, SEO is going to be focusing on the creativity again. So I'm really, really happy to see this happening.
Love it. How about you, Stefan?
Well, a lot of great. I really like what both of you had to say there. I took some notes, and I think the scaling SEO, I think that was a great comment, as well as saving time to be creative. And I think currently where we're at is we are experimenting and looking at AI to help us with our content creation and using it as a tool. So I think one of the fears that that we see anytime an algorithm update happens or something happens in the world is, like, even take it back to like the invention of electricity. People react and go, oh my God, this is going to take over. And at the end of the day, each of these things is a tool. So I would just look at it as, AI as a tool that can help us save time with our content creation. So we've utilized it by coming up with bullet points for ideas, or creating a piece of content that we can use as a framework, and then going in there and adding our tone and revising and editing things. I recently used a AI to create a poem for my family. And when I sent it to them, I remember my dad was tearing up. And, I had to let him know it was a computer. But, at the end of the day, it can be so robotic. And I think one of the things that when I'm looking in the future, I'm going, we've already seen in the last, it's probably been 3 to 5 years that content has become so saturated out there that there's just so much of it. And I think AI is going to just even create more content from that copy and pasting and people just relying and just like, hey, let's just publish a bunch of content from AI. But how do we personalize it and give it that personal touch? One of my examples that I like to use is looking at the supermarkets, how people used to check out and they start doing the self-checkouts. What's interesting is the checkouts have not fully gone away. People still want to interact with a human. And that's why I like what Carmen has to say about the creative piece, because I think it can be a tool that can help us give more time to be creative with our content and the way we're creating it, but also saving time for the way that we resource information and find information, because we're going to be able to tap into so much more through AI. So I think it's going to save us a lot of time and energy.
That's a great perspective. And I think I'm going to transition to you in a second, Ben. And I love two things. Like, I think we're going to have a lot of opportunities to do some follow-up blog posts and everything else, because I certainly want to extract more information out of these folks than we could possibly have time for today. In which case, I'd probably just ask you to include that poem in one of your blog posts. So we.
I felt so bad afterwards. I was like, oh man, the fact that I made him tear up over it, and he thought I really wrote it. He's like, wow, you're such a great writer. I'm like,
okay, we don't want to put your dad on the spot, but definitely want to show real world examples. I also love that I'm about to say rubbish, because as an American, I don't often use the term rubbish, but yeah, so some of the rubbish work. There's like, Ben, I think you know, we're talking, you had a couple of examples. A lot of what we talk about with AI right now in SEO is content focused. And how do you prevent it from being robotic and duplicative, and like, how do you keep it authentic and on brand and engaging? But also, like, there are other use cases you're thinking about too, right? In terms of development tasks and QA and other things. Yeah, I would love to hear kind of your rounded perspective.
Yeah, so I love it. I think AI has actually been around for a while. It's just kind of hit like this new element where it's suddenly like taking the world by storm, right? And so there's been tools that have been out for a long time. And, one of the tools that, I'm kind of a product guy, right? So that a lot of time working with my development team, and I want to make them more efficient in their job. So we use GitHub Copilot. We use other tools that help like directly with the developers to be able to use AI to be faster at their jobs. And I think that's at the end of the day, like Stefan was saying, these are tools. We're using these tools to help us to get ahead and to be able to understand. And I think kind of, there's definitely fear that comes out, and people talk about like being afraid of it taking jobs or these kinds of things. But I think it's our responsibility to learn it deeply and to be able to take that to the next level, right? And we can then get ahead. Everyone here can get ahead using AI. And if you're too afraid to take that step, it's gonna move on without you. Like, it's gonna keep growing. And AI, like, while it's been around for a while, I still tell people, I told my team this past week, it's still in its infancy. It's still a baby, and it's going to continue to change and evolve and get bigger and bigger. And we're going to see iterations of it. And I think that it's just a fun thing. So one of the things we've done, like we kind of jumped on the train right away. And inside of our plugin, we created a title and a meta title and meta description generator. So you can just type your content out, and then instead of trying to figure out like what's the best title, what's the description, you can just hit generate, and it connects to OpenAI, and it will analyze your content. It will suggest you titles and descriptions, and it's really fast and really powerful. And we've seen a lot of success, a lot of people doing it. We're using it ourselves, like I said, practitioners, right? So it's like, how can we make this job easier for our content team? They're already writing this content. Some of them are using are straight up just writing it themselves. Some use AI to kind of help them generate content, but then they tweak it and change it and make it better. And so this specific tool that we've created, it's just one step easier for them. And that's kind of our goal, is to kind of help make SEO easy. We want to make it easy for everyone. So that's what I see AI as, is just a tool to make our jobs easier each and every day.
I love it. Thanks for that. And those are great examples too. And great, another whole set of tools that everybody mentioned that we'll definitely publish after this. With that, we're coming up just shy of just over 10 minutes left. And I'd love to get into, we could talk AI for quite a long time. And actually some of the questions that people are submitting are related to AI. And I'm going to ask one of you to represent John Mueller in this case. No, not really. But I would love to get into some of the audience participation Q&A. And this is actually really, some of these questions are really great for our panelists in particular around international e-commerce. And then some of the reporting and KPIs that we touched on a little bit. Why don't I switch over really quickly? Forgive me, I'm just toggling screens here to get some of the questions that the audience is asking. What have been the most impactful KPIs to share with your clients' leadership teams in terms of keeping them invested in the near and long-term sustainability of an SEO program?
I'd love to take that. I think oftentimes there's two angles to SEO that are missed out. One is the user experience value of SEO, where I think you may also be, increasing the level of engagement with high quality content, and how the same content can be leveraged on social media and other locations. So you're building assets for the long term that'll be used by your sales team, by your social media team, and email marketing team as well. And the second aspect is the measuring the brand's visibility. And I think these are things that are harder, but I think there is certain pride that a company owns when it ranks number one on page one for their top terms. And so I think there's that emotional value that is oftentimes undersold. But in the end, for a CFO, I think you need to be able to show the ROI of SEO, and trying to show the ROI of SEO purely from number of clicks often doesn't resonate. So it's helpful to try to convert it into conversion and doing an estimation of what's the average value of a conversion, what's the lifetime value of a conversion, and then project the value of your SEO effort over a 2 to 3 year period, because that's over the time it'll pay off. And I'll tell you from my time at Realtor.com, when we grew from the SEO channel, we went from 25 million monthly clicks to over 75 million monthly clicks while I was there. But after I left, that momentum continued, and we hit 145 million monthly clicks from Google. And so that is the long-term value of the work we did, and I think that needs to be called out to the leadership.
That's a great point and a great way to think about how you get the company to buy into investments around this, right? It's a long-term play, and that's a cost-effective solution in the scheme of things when you balance your portfolio of investments. Definitely. Anybody else have anything on the KPI front, especially around sort of selling through to leadership?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. Just to kind of add on to that, and I think if from a business owner's perspective, or talking with the CFO, I think there is the idea of being able to break down the ROI of SEO, which can be really difficult. And I think that there are no guarantees. But the way I like to look at it, and so what I think some folks, because they're not willing to give it time to build up, they end up exiting out or stopping SEO. I'll see those companies where it's they were blogging, they were doing SEO, and then they just stopped producing content, and they watched things slowly trickle down, and they found, well, if I spend money on PPC or paid ads and Google, paid social, I can see immediate results. And I guess the way I like to explain it, to kind of dumb it down, is a lot of these paid ads are kind of the paycheck, right? You work for it and you get paid. You work for it and you get paid. It's every 2 weeks. Whereas the SEO is really the 401k. It's I'm putting money into it, I'm investing in it, and the market fluctuates and the market moves up and down. But in the long term, that's where you're going to see the big results. And so I think it is producing, looking at those KPIs and the ROI of what is your return going to be? How many searchers are, within these keyword groupings, and, what's your return on each conversion, and then being able to multiply that opportunity by looking at, well, if you get into the first click of, or the first result of Google, you're going to end up probably getting the numbers fluctuate, but 35 to 25%. Whereas if you have the number one ad, you're looking at about probably 3%. So you have a larger chance of gaining those clicks. But it's also being able to let them know, hey, this is a long-term play. And I try not to hide that. I think sometimes SEO, especially agencies, want to hide the fact that it's not a quick fix, that it takes time. And if you stick with it, you'll see the results.
I think there's a lot of love for your analogy.
Okay. Oh, good.
That's huge. Cool. A couple of questions, unless anybody's burning on that one. A couple of questions related to back to AI again. This is where we may need to represent Google themselves, but can search engines differentiate between AI and original content? And or maybe akin to that, do you recommend adding a disclaimer when you're publishing AI generated content?
Actually, I'm going to jump into that one because it's related a little bit to the EAT updates. And Google has said that they are able to identify AI content. I say they could potentially if it's really bad written. I don't think they can at the moment, but rest assured that they will at some point. But at the end of the day, what you care about is not necessarily Google picking up your content, it's your user picking up your content. At the end of the day, you need to think that you are convincing your user to buy your product, to buy your service. If your content is crap, and I'm going to swear now, it doesn't matter if AI is actually Google is ranking you, because your user is not going to buy from you. So you need to think more of the user, convincing the user and representing yourself as an authority rather than actually getting your content ranked, which I am telling you, at some point it will stop ranking. Now, if you get AI to make it sound like a very good piece of content and you have checked everything, I definitely recommend you to, if you, for example, have written a piece of content and with AI and you have someone to check the facts and someone to check that it's medically correct. For example, if it's a medical piece of content, I will really recommend you to do it because Google does check authorship and the authority of the content. So if you have to really do it, I will go with that suggestion.
I would like to add to this. I think really, what comments and resonates a lot. I think ultimately, a brand has to take ownership of their content and it has to put it to some use and it has to, deliver value, whether it's brand visibility or revenues or, or just the, authority you're building on a certain topic. I think I like how, WP Engine's VP of Brand, Monica, put it on when we were showing her the quarter platform for the first time. She said, this is the massive accelerator, but it also means that the role of copywriters is evolving into copy editors. And I think that's a great way of thinking about this transformation that that I've been sharing with a lot of the people. That this is the transformation that we need to acknowledge and because I think at the end of the day, if every copywriter can get the acceleration from AI, but still take ownership of that content and publish it as something that they stand behind, like a editorial person at a publishing company, would stand behind the content even though it was not written by them, but by a junior copywriter. So I think at the end of the day, a company has to take ownership of the content they're putting out. And it has to think about the value it's going to bring to them, not just in getting something out quickly, but also something that they would like to fit on the website for a long time. And a simple test is, would I be comfortable sending an email to everybody, all of my customers, that I publish this piece of content? If it's not of that quality, then don't publish it.
I actually just remember that Google in the IO, they said that they're going to create a schema they're going to be putting in images that it tells Google if the image has been created with AI. So they are already developing quite a lot of different ways of try to pick it up. Also something that lots of people are testing. So I'm 100% sure that Google is ranking AI content without being reviewed because I've been testing it recently. But something that they said that they were going to start doing is the indexing pages that they feel the content is not very good. So it's even getting more dangerous. That it's no longer not ranking you, but potentially they indexing you if your content is not good. So not now, but maybe in the future it does become something bad for you. That's what they said. Is it true? We never know.
Have any of you, this is a kind of a follow-on question from the group. Have any of you utilized an AI chatbot on a site?
Not yet. I think that there is definitely some benefit to those, especially if you can connect them with documentation or knowledge bases or things like that, things that can generate quick answers, and then that potentially helps your support teams, helps kind of offload that a little bit first. Again, these are infant tools in their infancy, and they're not going to be perfect, but I do see some initial value in it for sure.
Plugging it into a controlled internal data set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One thing we've done in Quarter is we have this messaging tool from Intercom that sits in the bottom right of the most websites, where you can ask any question and such. Right above that, we put in a button to write any prompt and generate a response, like a content brief or something. And everywhere we show keywords on the UI, you can pin up the same chat experience, plugging in that keyword and auto-generating either the schema markup or the FAQ right answers if there's a question. And so I think a lot of these kind of capabilities where the integration of the chat experience is integrated into the actual workflow that an SEO needs to accomplish their task is going to become more and more valuable.
Very helpful, everybody. I realize we're coming right up to the hour right now. I think we all could go on for quite a lot longer, which is encouraging because it means we'll probably be doing more of these in the future. I want to thank the panelists. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the participants. I'm looking through the chat. I'm looking through the Q&A, and I think we have several other topic categories to go into for future. Be on the lookout for the recording. Lexi, if you don't mind popping up the future webinar series, there are a few coming up over the course of the next few weeks, months, and be on the lookout for invitations to those topics. And then immediately after this, you'll get the recording of this, and we'll start to put out these list of lists, and you'll have access to Q&A with the panelists, with us at WP Engine. But yeah, want to again thank you guys very much. Thank you everybody for the participation and your expertise and bringing it on. I can tell that everybody's very excited about it today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.